What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of TheLead Houston, where it's all Houston all the time. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a very special guest, formerly quarterback for your Tennessee Volunteers, little Jets, little Falcons, a little bit of everywhere too, bounced around. But hey, we love his opinions. We love him. Former quarterback, host of the Sims Complete, Incomplete, right? Sims Complete.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Sims, there's a lot of M's. So Sims Complete. I thought it was incomplete, complete.
Yeah, I mean, it has been in times in my career, but hey, the show, we should also do another show called Sims Incomplete. That'll talk about some of the other issues that we have going on, both psychological, if you're me personally, and the NFL.
For sure, man. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Harley. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed our opportunity that we had, I guess, almost a full year ago now that I was on your show.
I didn't plan that.
Yeah, it's okay, though. But I'm excited to be here with you and talking football and talking Houston Texans football. And, hey, man, lead the way. Also, I love the shirt, by the way. I mean,
appreciate it.
I didn't even realize that was a Texans shirt until, just now. But, yeah, I like the vibes. I wish the team was playing a little bit better than the style of shirt you got on right now. I don't know if that's what that would describe the team, but hey, man, let's get into it. Let's talk some Texas football.
For sure. It wouldn't describe the fan base right now. That's for sure. It's been tough. All right. But we're going to get into this, man. It's funny, we just, literally, I was like, oh, let me go look up my Matt Sims video from last year on Believe Texans.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I'm like, man. And I remember asking questions about the team back then. And we had just came off a Cincinnati Bengals win on the road at the Jungle. They were hot. And I looked at the date and I went, November 14, 2024. Man, is that a year from today? Oh, today's November 14. Or that was 2023, 2024 now. I'm like, oh, a year later, huh? Funny how that works out, man.
Yeah.
And at that time, you had mentioned, and this was with me and Ruben, shout out to Ruben, and you mentioned CJ Stroud looked like an 8-year veteran.
Right.
But you also mentioned a very great point that we're coming back to right now is he's having such a great rookie year. You questioned and kind of wondered, how could he come back his sophomore year? And because since he raised the bar so high, how could he come back his sophomore year and put up similar numbers or something around that realm? And right now, what would you say full second year CJ, or half a year right now? What are you looking at in terms of CJ Stroud in his year so far?
I think for us, we still see the superstar that we saw a year ago. We still see the ability to be a game changer and to make great throws, to be pinpoint accurate, to be a great decision maker and an above average athlete from what he was considered coming out of his draft evaluation. And, right now, I think the biggest cause for concern, and especially too, after just watching the Detroit film, again, just to prepare for the show, to make sure that I didn't miss anything. We're seeing a football team that, of course, is being hurt by the injuries at the receiver position. But also, I think just the way that the offense is being orchestrated, right? How the plays are being layered on top of each other. If there was a grading system, right, for, the Bobby Slowick, Aaron Glenn battle, and who gets what grade there. I mean, Aaron Glenn probably got, a B minus. And honestly, I want to give him an A because in a lot of clutch situations, his team was all over the Houston Texans. And then for Bobby Slowick, despite, putting up 23 early on in this football game, almost have to kind of give him more of like a C minus grade because of their poor production in the red zone, their inability to finish drives, their inability to give CJ Stroud, I think, like the opportunities needed for him to really be the dominant, accurate thrower that we've seen him to be. And, right now, the physicality, I think, up front too is another huge issue for this Houston Texans team. When they have struggled this year and when they have lost, now, hey, granted, it's only 4 losses. They're 6-4. Everything is still in front of them. But when they have lost, it is because they have been physically pushed around on the offensive line. And Joe Mixon, who's been one of the highlights of the football team, really had no opportunity at all against Detroit to get anything going. Constant penetration in the backfield, never captured the edge on multiple times on outside zone plays or outside toss plays. The one touchdown was a good little pin and pull action there to start the football game with a short field. But other than that, that really was the best run of the day. Everything else was very hard earned for this Houston Texans offense, CJ Stroud included.
Yeah, I mean, you're really talking about an outsider's perspective on this Houston Texans team. We're always open to any sort of perspective when it comes to what is going on with this Texans team right now.
Right.
They're 6-4 this year. It's the exact same record as last year. Last year, it was okay. I thought rookie head coach, rookie OC, rookie quarterback, 6-4.
Right.
And we're cooking. We're doing some good stuff.
Oddly a different vibe this year, though, right?
Very, very different. And the fan base immediately when, there's a lot of heat going on with the offense's production or lack of production, actually. The fan base is easy to target certain individuals. And when things go awry, it's pretty easy to target Bobby Slowick. You mentioned him getting a C- grade for you there. What are your thoughts right now in why is Bobby Slowick just seems like he hasn't taken another step as an offensive coordinator as of yet?
Last year, he was a coordinator that was going up against defensive coordinators that really had no Rolodex or information, analytics that tell them this is what Coach Slowick does on first down, second down, third down, low red zone, high red zone. There was no percentages that really gave any of those defensive coordinators strategic advantages, right, to call games against them. So you really went into games, I think, with the Houston Texans, especially too with a rookie quarterback, of saying like, hey, let's just, do these simple things and we'll kind of build it all from there, because you really don't know exactly how he was going to dissect defenses. Now we see it a year and a half later where, the playbook is essentially out, right? People have seen him enough this offseason, obviously going back and watching them again. People are starting to understand, his tendencies and why he calls plays, when he calls plays. And I think that's really where Aaron Glenn won that battle, especially there in the second half. A lot of key third down situations or second and long situations. They either got pressure on the play action passes where there was disruption. There's a few play action passes where CJ Stroud had an opportunity maybe to throw 2 people open. Couldn't really get to them because of the pressure, had to move and evade people and just kind of take what he could get. One was a scramble. The other, the boots and nakeds, the kind of get out of jail free play call, I think, for quarterbacks and for quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators who are struggling to find rhythm. The Detroit Lions were all over those. They did a great job of covering on the back end. They did a great job, too, of cutting off CJ Stroud from escaping and getting outside, right, of the perimeter of the defense. The other thing, too, not too many penalties on offense. I believe only 2 or 3 in this football game for the Houston Texans. But the wide receiver screen passes, again, another get-out-of-jail-free card type of play. We were thinking, all right, let's get my quarterback in rhythm. Let's throw the receiver screen, get him out in space, maybe break a tackle, and we get few cheap yards. All of those were catches and tackles at the line of scrimmage. And that, I think, is what's probably most disappointing for D'Amico Ryans, is that he's seeing his offense kind of get physically pushed around in key moments of the game. And as the game continued to go on, Aaron Glenn did a great job of mixing up coverages early on. But then later on in the game, he kept it very simple and just said, we're going to play man coverage. We're going to get in your face. We're not scared of you guys running away from us. We know your route tree very well. And, there was moments where I thought like Branch, the safety for the Detroit Lions, looked like Ed Reed almost, like he was jumping routes and playing the play like a very Pro Bowl like football player. And I think that's what's really concerning too, is that the team really couldn't generate any explosive plays other than the Dalton Schultz move against man coverage, I think on like a 3rd and 8 situation there in like the third quarter. Other than that, that really was the only thing that they can generate offensively. It was hard work for them all day. So credit to Aaron Glenn, really, first of all. And for Bobby Slowick, yeah, definitely need to go back and just find, some sort of way to just add that next layer of thought process to the plays that you already have. The receiver screens. I'll give you a great one, Harley. When I was with the Atlanta Falcons, the Kyle Shanahan and them, we ran a lot of receiver, tight end screens, all that kind of stuff, right? And it worked beautifully. It was great. Teams started to play that stuff extremely well, right? They started to be aggressive at the line of scrimmage, started to tackle us at the line of scrimmage. So what did we do? We came up with a few plays where we were having the other receivers that were blocking kind of stalk the guy that they're about to block and then break out on a route, right? Or break in on a route. So we were getting kind of that fake screen bluff and then throwing behind the defenders in those looks. And these are the type of simple plays where if you can add those plays to your arsenal, right, for the Houston Texans, that now makes the receiver screens even more valuable for you going forward. Because now defense will be like, well, is it the screen or is it the bluff screen where they're playing behind us? And I think these are the things that a young offensive coordinator still has to go through those growing pains to, have plan A, plan B, and plan C, and all the way down to Z to make sure that he has plays to help his offense. And of course, a second-year quarterback that we still don't view as a second-year quarterback.
For sure. And that second-year quarterback just came out with a quote just a few minutes ago. He was asked by the Texans media, and and the quote here is, "I'm not a game manager. I'm a game changer."
Yeah, he's right.
I mean, okay, good, because there's been a lot of heat from fans that have started to ask themselves whether or not CJ Stroud is just a game manager or is he a game changer. And I think the questions are because of what you mentioned with Bobby Slowick, also the offensive line,
right.
Two of the things that are key contributors as to why we're looking at what is it's tough to say sophomore slump. Would you consider this a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud?
I mean, I guess so, just because it was just so impressive a year ago. But that being said, I mean, it's still a 6-4 football team that controls their own destiny in a terrible division right now in the AFC South. So, you're still playing with house money. I think we all know that, yeah, there's a different vibe to this 6-4. We're not exactly excited about what we've seen. And we also know, too, that to be a real playoff contender and a Super Bowl contender, for you to be kind of physically pushed around, especially on the offensive line, especially in the interior, you're not going to win very many big games against some of the teams that are going to be playing for championships, right, and hardware. So, for this football team, there's still a lot of positives, no doubt. Fans, slow down. You got the quarterback of the future. Yes, CJ Stroud, he is a game changer. But, Harley, let's also remind people, though, too, that being a game manager is the greatest compliment that you can get as a quarterback. More games are lost than won. And you have to be a great manager of the football game to understand situational awareness, to play beyond just the scope of the position. You have to be the quarterback, the CEO, the extension of the head coach that knows what the hell is going on. Is my defense playing well? How are we matching up against the defense that we're playing against? What's the situation of the game? The down and distance. Is it worth taking a risk here? Is it okay to take a sack or not take a sack? How many timeouts do I have left? Can I throw the ball inside the numbers when there's only X amount of time left? All these things. So being a great game manager is one of the greatest compliments that you could receive as a quarterback, because more games are lost than won at the quarterback position. And yes, CJ Stroud also has the ability to be a game changer, but the injuries at the receiver position, the struggles at the offensive line, limit those things, right, for him to be the game changer that we're used to seeing. Because, I mean, let's face it, Nico Collins to start the year, I mean, right, you make that reaction. Yeah, like we were going to be like, he might be one of the top 10 receivers in the league. Like that's how like I felt about when I was watching him. I was like, man, is this like a young Anquan Bolden out here that's just like
Oof,
breaking
like
people
that.
off and then like trucking people at the same time too, and has like an attitude. Like there was something about it that was so different and refreshing from what we've seen from him in past years. And him being out, I think, really is you missing a huge cornerstone of what your offense is all about and the toughness that he brings to that team.
Oh, for sure. You talk about the offensive line. I'm going to ask you a personal question, Matt. Have you ever had a tackle or an offensive lineman try to strip sack you in a game?
Yeah, that was an interesting play. No, I have not had that opportunity before.
Noted.
And I'm sure for CJ, yeah, noted. I'm sure for CJ, he was like, who the hell is this trying to rip the football out of my hands? And yeah, of course, the way that it was going for CJ, or at least the past few weeks too, with the way that he's been hit and has to move a lot in the pocket. Yeah, having someone on your own side with some friendly fire there, trying to strip sack you right there is not what's exactly needed or the remedy for the situation right now.
No, not at all. You mentioned your time with the Atlanta Falcons, and where we know that Kyle Shanahan was there, Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur,
Yeah,
missing. There's one more from the Kubiak,
McDaniels was there
Shanahan.
too.
There
Yeah,
we go. Mike
yeah,
McDaniels was also there too.
yeah.
So yeah, those four guys, besides Mike, unfortunately, Mike or Matt? Yeah, Mike, unfortunately. But all of them guys are now head coaches, 3 out of the 4 right there.
And Raheem
So
Morris too was our receivers coach at the time.
there we
So
go. And
yeah, quite a
he's
staff, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah, you can
Quite a
see why
staff.
we went to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And Bobby Slowick had mentioned with the offensive line how important the center is in a Shanahan scheme.
yeah,
And I'm assuming y'all had Alex Mack at this time at
we
center.
did. Yes,
Okay,
correct. Yes.
so I wanted to know your perspective on how important the center is in this scheme. Bobby Slowick's mentioned it many times. In our current center, which was Juice Scruggs, now Jarrett Patterson, Juice Scruggs just wasn't working for us at the center position. I'm not even quite sure if he's a guard, but this is really the first full year of Juice Scruggs at the center position in the NFL. Jarrett Patterson at least has some experience, wasn't injured at Notre Dame, and is more of a technique kind of center. Maybe not the strength and lower body strength you want, not the greatest 6th-round pick, albeit it has shown he's okay. I'll take anything considering the play and performance of the offensive line. But I wanted to know your perspective on how important the center position is.
Yeah, the center position, really for any offense is just it's everything for your team. It really is. I mean, that guy is the quarterback of the offensive line. The things that he has to do and communicate with everyone at that line of scrimmage, the tone setting that he has to do, right, for the group and keep them organized, keeping them motivated, right, keeping everybody focused on what the task at hand is, while being both mentally strong but physically strong too. And yeah, listen, to be a first-year center and to have limited opportunities and to be in the NFL, yeah, there's going to be some massive growing pains, right, for you, because center is an extremely difficult position. And, that's where, like, my brother, I think, has done a great job. Chris Sims, he does Sims on Button for NBC. He has done a phenomenal job, I think, of kind of like showing you behind the scenes of just like what's going on with Houston. And something that I think that he mentioned that's really important, right, is that, they're relying on the offensive line to make a lot of the protection calls, and they're not allowing CJ Stroud to essentially override some of those things, or haven't really equipped him with the knowledge or the confidence yet to just basically take control of the offense in that sense. Hey, understandable. Second-year player, you don't want to overwhelm him yet. You just want to make him play and all that. But as people get a better feel for what you do offensively, they're getting a better idea of how to trick you and how to have greater success against your team. So, for him, there's been a few opportunities that he's even mentioned to even show on film too. And that would have been great too if we just did some film breakdowns, because, there's a few examples where you can see that, he's just not really sure if he's he's throwing the ball hot or not. And for the fans at home, like that's basically saying like he's not sure if which guy is the free runner and which guy he should be playing off and throwing the football off of in that situation. And when you have those type of plays for a quarterback, that really can cause some unevenness, right? Some just like, a little anxiety, honestly, of just when am I going to be protected? When am I not protected? I'm not really sure. I kind of got to play fast and quick because I'm not exactly sure when it is going to play out the way that I think it should play out. Whereas most quarterbacks, when you have the control of the line of scrimmage, you're just saying, hey, go over here. I know this guy is free, and I'm doing that on purpose because I'm trying to throw the football either over there to that pressure, right? Or I'm trying to play off of it to buy myself time to throw the shallow cross that's working into my vision, like things of that nature. And that being said, not being able to run the football hurts all of those other things, because when you're getting stuffed on first down in the run game, your play sheet, as everyone says, that cliche, it gets tougher to call plays on 2nd and 10 and 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 10. And you're going to go to simple plays. And that plays into, I think, an Aaron Glenn, who was very well prepared for a lot of those concepts too. And that's why some of those simple plays that maybe work against weaker defenses in the NFL did not work against the Detroit Lions, because we're talking about a team that really is like Super Bowl ready to go and play angry as hell. And they've been going through some growing pains too. And I think that's what Houston's going through right now. Last year was so good. You were thinking, oh, we lost to Baltimore. Well, of course, Baltimore is a potential Super Bowl candidate, right? But you're probably, another year away from really establishing like basically that grit, right? And that tough skin that you need to be a team that is competing like the Detroit Lions are, because you see now, even when the Detroit Lions get outplayed, like in the Houston game, they still find a way to win the football game. And it's not because it was pretty. It's not because Jared Goff played better than CJ Stroud. No, Jared Goff played awful in that football game with his 5 turnovers. But you could see that like they were not hesitant at all. When the opportunity was there, they capitalized on every single one of them. And I think that's the difference you're seeing right now with Houston. They're still going through those growing pains of learning how to be a gritty football team that doesn't really care how it looks, just getting it done. And those things are natural, I think, for young football teams finding their way.
A popular topic here in Houston is the questions around Bobby Slowick. And when as a fan base, you take a look around and you go around the NFL, and the Bears move on from what's his name? Wow, I just escaped it. The Raiders moved on from Luke Getsy.
Yep, Shane Waldron. Yeah.
And so you have both of those examples right there, and the Houston Texans fans are going, hey, D'Amico, look, if they can do it, so can we. What are your thoughts? Should the Texans be moving on from Bobby Slowick? The quarterback's coach currently is Gerard Johnson. You have a senior offensive analyst in Bill Lazor. So Bill Lazor has been an offensive coordinator before, ditto with the Chicago Bears. And Gerard Johnson, not sure if you've crossed paths with any of those two guys, but what are your thoughts with moving on from Bobby Slowick or not?
I would say right now, don't, because I think Bobby's done enough, right, to where, there's some things that you can work on. Now for D'Amico and all that, like, hey, can you proactively push your coach in a way to say like, well, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can we experiment with these kind of plays, right? And that's stuff that's learned, on the job. To start over to scratch, like you're saying two coordinators that, all right, some experience, no experience, or limited experience. That's not necessarily going to just help the situation like that. The issues on the offensive line are staying; they're not going anywhere, right? The injuries to the receiver position are the same. It doesn't change anything. So you would really be doing that just as a fresh voice, right? And for this football team, I don't know if that's really necessary. For the Raiders, I mean, they essentially fired their entire offensive staff. So that was just bad hiring, right? For the Bears, I think they're in a different situation. Their offense, I don't think, matches their quarterback whatsoever. And I think, too, for them, they just wanted a fresh voice to recapture a room that clearly it sounds like was lost the past few weeks. And really, I think that's why there was that switch there. For the Texans, I don't know if I get quite that same vibe that I get from those other two franchises. But listen, those other two franchises aren't exactly, the teams that you should be emulating either. Even the New York Jets, they replaced their head coach and their offensive coordinator. It's not going well for them either. The truth is that all three of those football teams were just poorly coached on the offensive side of the football. And to think that you're going to solve that problem midway through the year is not true. So you're better off just kind of developing and growing through these tough problems right now, and really just trying to push your thought process a little bit more. So for Bobby Slowick, whatever you got to do, go and watch Kyle, go and watch Sean McVay, go and watch what McDaniel does. See if you can try to take some of the concepts that are helping their quarterbacks get out of tough situations that you think apply to your offense, and especially with what your offensive line is enduring right now. And that's really what you got to go roll with right now for D'Amico Ryans and this football team.
There's been quite a few players meetings with the Houston Texans, actually. I don't know if you have any experience in players meetings. I really would like to know, what are your thoughts around it? Because when you hear player meeting as a fan, there's a lot of negative, just pessimistic kind of thing. Like, oh man, a players meeting, what's going on? Is there questioning in leadership now? Does D'Amico got the locker room in control? Which I fully believe he does, just because of who he is. Yeah. Joe Mixon's had a players meeting. We had Jimmy Ward after the Lions loss mentioned that they had another players meeting, like implied after the loss to the Lions. So what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, the only player meetings that I've been a part of were really because the team just wasn't very good and wasn't playing well, and that's my experience with it. When you're clicking on all cylinders, there's no reason to meet because everyone is doing their job and you're getting it done. So I think for these, for the Houston Texans, I wouldn't say necessarily that they're talking about the coaching staff and being concerned about, the X's and O's or how they're being managed. It's more so, I think, about just trying to push each other to be more accountable, right, to what their job is, and really just making sure that you're trying to keep everybody engaged and focused. And that could be very simple as like, hey, we know it's been ugly. We know that we've struggled recently, but we are a 6-4 football team. We are the best team in our division, right? The problems that we've been going through, all right, so be it. But these problems should be part of what we do, right? Or part of how we find our solution to be a better football team, right? And I think if you kind of approach it from that positive aspect, that's a good way for this football team. If it's one of those where you're getting together and you're kind of just talking like, oh, this guy needs to do this and this guy needs to do that, and you're, that's where you have mutiny, that's where you have problems, and that's where teams kind of fall apart. But I don't expect that from this Houston Texans team and the players that they have on that football team, the veterans, the leadership. I think it's more so about just like re-engaging everyone to say, let's refocus and let's not get caught up in what people are saying about us. We still have a lot of football to be played, and we can control our future if we just execute the little things the right way.
Do you agree or disagree with Joe Mixon's quote? He did mention a little snippet from this players meetings and said that we are playing to lose games. Do you agree with that? Do you think the Houston Texans, as of right now, are they playing to lose the game?
He might be just commenting on the fact that in the second half, it seemed like at crucial moments in the game, maybe the Houston Texans were a little bit on the conservative side, especially late in the football game too. And instead of, having Kaimi kick a football from 53 yards, maybe he thought that there were some opportunities for him to be a little bit more aggressive there to give him a better opportunity. That being said, I feel like that is really where he is directing those comments at, is just that, instead of trying to hold on to win the game, let's just go after it and win it, and take over and control the game that way. And I'm sure that comes from, too, his experience in Cincinnati, where they really had no choice but to just go after it, and they just put all of it on Joe Burrow's hands and say, hey, go win us the football game, whatever you got to do. Just make something happen for us. And I'm sure that's kind of what he sees with CJ Stroud and this team, is that in a clutch situation, hey, let the young man just take over the game and win it for us. And I think that's why he's saying those things, just to make sure that, he's, reiterating his confidence that he has, I think, in this football team and the ability of their quarterback to make the plays when needed.
We're about to wrap this up, Matt. The Houston Texans are currently 6-4.
Yep.
You are showcasing a lot of optimism in that they could turn this around. They still have a lot of football left, which they do. The next 3 games, considering they are under 500 teams, the Cowboys are missing Dak Prescott. We saw how they played with Cooper Rush via Trey Lance and both of that. And whatever's going on there, the Cowboys seem to be a bit of a dumpster fire this year.
Yep.
Titans, Jaguars, not so hot right now. I mean, so the Houston Texans have an opportunity to win their next 3, potentially be 9-4, and go into a bye week where they are facing off the bye week Miami, Baltimore, and Kansas City.
Woo!
I mentioned yes,
good way to
in a very in a 10-day window, I want to say. So so I had mentioned for the fan base, because a lot of them are down right now. I get it. The temperature check here in Houston, not so hot. All right. They are very down. I would say this, and do you agree, in order for the fans to come back, really to be fully back on board, that this team can make some noise in the playoffs and make a deep playoff run, and or hopefully Super Bowl, cross my fingers. Do they have to beat, and this is me saying an opinion, they have to beat one of the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you think that needs to happen in order for them to have a legit shot at a deep playoff run?
Yeah, I don't want to go that far ahead, Harley. And I think this is just me, like just the old school player and coach and me. We're just like, all that matters is today and the next game,
Okay.
So really, can you just build momentum against a Dallas team that is hobbling, right? To go up against a Tennessee team that is playing harder, is a few plays away from having a few more wins to their victories, with a few just snafus that they've had late in football games, or just basically giving the game away early by Will Levis's turnovers early on in football games. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are also struggling with their identity, but seem to be playing tougher than what we saw early on in the year. So for the Houston Texans, like, take care of your division. First of all, take care of Dallas, right? Beat them. Take care of business. And I don't care if it's a 1-point victory or whatever. Just get the win against Dallas, right? Be the best team in Texas, and then move forward in your division and go from there. And then when you get to the Kansas City, Baltimore, that type of situation, hopefully you have put together and strung together a few key games for yourself to say, like, all right, hey, we've gotten better at the offensive line. We're running the football better. We've established a few more concepts, both for our run and pass game, that have helped us, that make us more difficult to defend. And now we have a few more weapons on our bat belt to take in against the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs later in the year. So, that's really where the state is for this football team right now. Don't get caught looking ahead. I know Houston Texan fans, you're excited. I get that. You're thinking last year too, right? But if you look back to last year as well and look at the scores and the record and how that all played out, you were a few plays away from not being a playoff football team. So that's just how the NFL goes. It's tough as hell. And the Houston Texans toughen up, play great this week, build into the next 2 weeks within your division, and then you essentially just control your destiny from there. And then it's just brownie points as far as how well you can be prepared and ready to go, hopefully with a healthier football team at that point against some of the better teams in the AFC.
Matt, man, I appreciate you, man. You're spreading some optimism for the Houston Texans fan base.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan. You mentioned last year you were a big fan of watching this Houston Texans team. Might have to throw you a helmet your way, man.
I appreciate. Hey, I would love that, and it would go right there. I'm telling you. All right.
There we go.
I would appreciate it, no doubt. And hey, man, when you play Fortunately, I played this game long enough where I was on a lot of bad football teams. I was on a lot of good football teams. And, no matter what, you just got to keep going, man. You got to keep going. You got to keep attacking it no matter what, right? And that's what you got to do. Hey, Houston, Texas fans, I know it hasn't been pretty, but damn, it'll just make it that much sweeter when you beat some of these better teams late in the year, when you win a playoff game. So, hey, growing pains are real. They're tough as hell. But in the end, they are good things for you. And, for the Houston Texans, hey, I'm always going to be optimistic for good football teams, for good football coaches, for good quarterbacks. And, hey, if you want the negative talk, don't watch Sims Complete, man. All right, because we want to be positive. We want to spread the good things that people are doing in the NFL, and always make sure that we're spinning it. Because hey, all we do is talk about how this quarterback's not playing good, this quarterback stinks, this and that. You're like, hey, it's easy as hell because that's the only position most fans really know, right? But the bigger picture, we know that is the greatest team sport in all of football, in all of sports, right? Is football. So, hey, all the optimism in the world. The defense is still damn good. The defense can still wreck games. And I think that, for them going forward, if they get a little healthier and they solidify a little bit more of what they're doing schematically, offensively, they got some opportunities to rewrite the narrative that's been written about them the past few weeks.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Real quick, it's November. I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
It's Turkey Day's right around the corner, man. What's one of your go-tos? What's your favorite? What's your favorite dish when it comes to Thanksgiving?
Oh, man. I think I'm just one of those people that I just enjoy the conglomerate of all of it mixed together on my plate. I can't pick and choose what my favorite is. I think a good mixture of everything, man. So, but maybe some sweet potatoes are high up there on that list. But
Good eating.
Good eating with a whole lot of gravy. But yeah, other than that, just really enjoy just watching ball, being with my family, and enjoying the little things in life that way, and just being grateful, to have the opportunity to share that time with friends and loved ones, and that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. If you got anything you want to share, spread, let me know. Let the fans know right now.
Sims Complete. Me and Big Phil talk every week. We got a show every Wednesday that comes out, primarily about quarterbacks. We do a little Jets and Giants, but obviously they're playing so bad we've kind of let that one go, because how many times can we remind everybody that they're struggling, or how they're struggling? So again, we want to stay positive. We're going to be talking about a lot of the quarterback play that's going on in the league. What's good, where players can make improvements, or where we see improvements are coming for certain football teams. So Sims Complete, myself, along with Big Phil Sims, the legend, the GOAT, Double Sticks, and check us out on the Believe Network as well. So appreciate it, Harley, again, for the opportunity, to join you on this show and to talk Houston, Texas football with you and your fan base.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Guys, appreciate every single one of y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, do y'all thing. Y'all know the drill. If y'all got any comments, let me know down in the comment section. How can I do better? How can I go better? We're on the road to 12,000 subs. So, hey, I appreciate every single one of y'all that's liked, commented, subscribed. Y'all already know the drill, man. Go down there, hit that sub button, hit the bell for the noties to turn on. You never want to miss anything for TheLead Houston. I appreciate you, Matt, for coming on. As always, guys, go Astros, go Rockets, go Texans. You have a blessed night.